And before we move on with our set, I wanted to say a few words about what Juneteenth means. Now, Juneteenth commemorates the day in 1865, June 19th, where about 250,000 enslaved Africans in Texas were declared free by the Union Army. And I think it's important to note that this declaration of freedom wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for the efforts of about 250,000 black soldiers fighting in the Civil War, and they really made it possible for this freedom. So give them a round of energy. So on track of this idea of freedom, I think creative improvisation or jazz really represents that freedom. And what better of an artist that encapsulate everything that creative improvisation is about than the great Herbie Hancock. One of the greatest composers and musicians of all time, so it's really an honor to be featuring his music tonight. So we're going to move on in our set. Well, I'll actually let Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. introduce this next song.
5 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. Just as I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.